Gladiator, the Fall and Rise of Maximus. In the land of eternal Rome, where the sun bathed fields of wheat in golden light and the empire stretched across half the world, there lived a man whose name became legend. His name was Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius. But fate, cruel and merciless, chose for him a path not of glory in battlefields, but of betrayal, slavery, and sacrifice. His story is not only the story of a warrior but of a man who carried within him the unbreakable fire of honor and love. Maximus was a man of Rome, though his soul longed not for the Senate, nor for marble palaces, but for home, the quiet lands of Hispania where his wife and little son waited for him. He was a soldier by duty, a farmer by heart. Yet Rome demanded his sword, and his sword brought victory. The legions loved him, and Emperor Marcus Aurelius trusted him as his own son. But Rome was a dying giant. Corruption had crept into its heart. Marcus Aurelius, weary of wars and politics, longed to restore the Republic, to return power to the Senate, to give Rome back to its people. He knew his own blood, Commodus, was not fit to rule. The emperor's son was ambitious, jealous, and thirsty for power. Where Maximus was steel and honor, Commodus was poison and deceit. The fateful night came in the emperor's tent, when Marcus Aurelius revealed to Maximus his wish, not to crown Commodus, but to entrust power to the Senate, with Maximus as protector until the transition was complete. Maximus, loyal and reluctant, bowed to the emperor's will. But fate had already been sealed. Commodus, upon learning the truth, wept in his father's arms before choking the life out of him. The emperor died not by sword but by the betrayal of his own son. Rome awoke to the dawn of tyranny. Maximus refused to swear loyalty to Commodus. For that defiance he was sentenced to death, his wife and son condemned as well. Bound by chains, he was led into the woods to be executed. But Maximus, fierce as a wolf cornered, killed his captors and fled, desperate to save his family. He arrived too late. His home burned, his wife's body crucified, his child hung lifeless. The ashes of everything he loved smoldered in the wind. Broken, Maximus collapsed upon their graves. That day the general of Rome died, and a slave was born. Captured by traitors, he was dragged across the desert, stripped of dignity, and sold into the brutal life of the arena. It was there, in the dust and blood of the Colosseum, that Maximus found a new path. The crowds roared, demanding spectacle. Gladiators lived and died for entertainment. Maximus fought not for glory but for survival. Yet his strength, skill, and unyielding spirit soon made him a star. Under the ownership of Proximo, a former gladiator himself, Maximus learned to embrace combat in chains. The other gladiators followed him, sensing in his silence the heart of a leader. The sands of the arena became his battlefield. Lions, spears, and armored giants fell before him. He turned death into art, battle into poetry. And with every victory he whispered to himself, "I will have vengeance, in this life or the next." Word of the undefeated gladiator spread, until at last he was brought to Rome itself, to the grand Colosseum, the beating heart of the empire. There, fate reunited him with Commodus, now emperor, adored by the mob but despised by those who remembered his father's vision. When Maximus removed his helmet in front of the roaring crowd and declared his true name, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next." The Colosseum erupted. The people remembered honor. The emperor remembered fear. Maximus could not be silenced. His victories in the arena made him more beloved than Commodus. The Senate began to whisper again of freedom, of a Rome without tyranny. Commodus saw the shadow of his father in Maximus and knew he could never rule while the gladiator lived. But killing him outright would make a martyr. Commodus needed a spectacle. He challenged Maximus to single combat before the eyes of Rome. On the morning of the duel, Commodus showed his cowardice. Fearing defeat, He met Maximus in the dark corridors beneath the arena and struck him with a hidden dagger, driving steel into his side. The wound bled freely, unseen by the crowd above. Guarded, weakened, Maximus was led into the arena to face the emperor. The Colosseum trembled with anticipation. Commodus entered with pomp, his armor gleaming, his face painted with false courage. Maximus, barely standing, lifted his sword. The duel began. Commodus struck with fury, but Maximus, though dying, fought with the strength of a lifetime of battles. Every move, every parry, carried the weight of love, loss, and justice. The crowd, once cheering for blood, now cried for Maximus. At last, Commodus, disarmed and desperate, demanded another weapon. A hidden knife was given, but Maximus seized his chance. With a surge of fading strength, he drove the emperor's own blade into his throat. Commodus gasped. His reign ended not by politics, not by betrayal, but by the hand of the man he wronged most. The crowd erupted. The tyrant was dead. But Maximus too fell, his body broken, his vision clouded. He saw not Rome, not the Colosseum, but fields of wheat swaying in the wind. He walked toward them, toward the gates of home, where his wife and son awaited. A smile touched his lips. In death he returned to love. Maximus died a slave, but he lived forever as a hero. His body was carried with honor, and his final words to the Senate were fulfilled. Rome was to be restored to the people. Proximo's gladiators were freed. The chains of tyranny, for a moment, were broken. But more than Rome, more than the Senate, it was his soul that found peace. For Maximus Decimus Meridius was not only a general, not only a gladiator. He was the voice of loyalty, the fire of honor, and the eternal symbol that even in betrayal, a man can remain unbroken. And so the story of the gladiator lives on, etched not in marble, but in the hearts of those who believe that love and honor are stronger than death.